All right, a huge story in the crypto world has just wrapped up. Today, we're going to get into the massive settlement between the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, the Tron network, and of course, its founder, Justin Sun. So let's just jump right in.
$10 million. That's the magic number. I mean, what does it actually cost to settle a huge legal fight with a regulator as powerful as the SEC? Well, in this case, the answer is $10 million. That single fine is really the centerpiece of this whole deal.
So yeah, it's over. That long-running legal battle, it's officially settled. After years of back and forth, the SEC, Tron, and Justin Sun have finally reached an agreement. Now, it still needs a judge to give it the final stamp of approval, but for all intents and purposes, this saga is done.
Okay, so how do we even get here? To really get why this settlement is such a big deal, we've got to go back in time. Let's rewind to 2023 and see how this whole thing kicked off.
So the whole thing kicks off in March of 2023. That's when the SEC officially drops a lawsuit on Justin Sun and Tron. And, this wasn't happening in a vacuum. It was just one of many, many cases the SEC was throwing at crypto companies at the time. For nearly 2 years, it was just this constant legal battle, which, finally brings us to where we are today with this settlement.
So what exactly was the SEC so upset about? Well, the accusations were pretty heavy. There were two main things. First, they said Sun and Tron were selling unregistered securities. We're talking about the TRX and BTT tokens. And second, and this is a big one, they were accused of straight-up market manipulation with this massive wash trading scheme to make it look like TRX was being traded way more than it actually was.
Okay, wash trading. You've probably heard that term thrown around, but what does it actually mean? It's pretty simple, really, but it's super deceptive. Imagine you're selling something, and to make it look popular, you just buy it from yourself over and over again. That's basically wash trading. You're simultaneously buying and selling the same thing to create this fake buzz, this illusion of activity, to trick other investors into thinking it's a hot ticket item.
All right, so those were the big accusations. Now let's jump back to the present and dig into the settlement itself. What's actually in this deal? Let's decode the fine print.
This is where it gets really interesting. So, who pays? A company called Rainberry Inc., which is connected to Tron, forks over that $10 million fine. And they're now on notice not to do it again. But, and this is a huge but, look at everyone else. Justin Sun, the Tron Foundation, the BitTorrent Foundation. For them, all the claims were dismissed with prejudice.
Okay, that legal phrase, dismissed with prejudice, sounds fancy, but it's absolutely crucial. What it means is, this is over, for good. The SEC can't just change its mind next week and sue Justin Sun for the same thing all over again. It's a lock on the door, a permanent end to these specific charges. Case closed.
So you might be wondering, why settle now? What changed? Well, to get the answer, we have to pull the camera back and look at the bigger picture. And that picture has everything to do with a huge shift in Washington, specifically at the SEC.
The big domino that fell was the 2024 U.S. presidential election. Right after that, the top brass at the SEC changed, and that changed everything.
And the difference is just night and day. You had the old SEC, led by Gary Gensler, who was famous for going after crypto companies hard. Lawsuit after lawsuit, a really aggressive stance. Then, post-election, you get a new leadership team, and the strategy does a complete 180. All of a sudden, they started dropping most of those old cases like hot potatoes.
And get this, there's another little twist here that you just can't ignore. Around the same time, right after that 2024 election, Justin Sun makes a big move. He becomes a major investor in a token that's linked to the Trump family. So you have this financial move happening right as the SEC is changing its tune. It definitely adds a fascinating political layer to the whole situation, right?
All right, so what was the final word? How did everyone react? And more importantly, what happens now?
Justin Sun jumped on X, of course, and put out a statement. He called it closure, but was quick to say he never stopped building and is all about innovation. But the really interesting part is at the end. He says he looks forward to working with the SEC on rules for crypto. That's a pretty different tone, right? Very collaborative, very much, let's move forward together.
And that's really the million-dollar question, isn't it? Or I guess the $10 million question. Is this Tron settlement just cleaning house, a one-time thing to get an old case off the docket, or are we seeing the first signs of a totally new chapter for crypto regulation in the US, something a lot less hostile? I guess we'll have to wait and see.